In this video, we will be talking about views and how Oracle's Knowledge Advanced application allows multiple business units to coexist on the same system, use the same content type, and be able to accommodate for these sort of multiple, different needs of these, multiple business users simultaneously. First, let's look at the KA from a point of view of an administrator, especially focusing on a particular content type, which is the FAQ content type. You can imagine that the FAQ is a kind of a content type that could be shared by multiple business units, because you can imagine that, say, HR would have their own FAQ kind of documentation. A support organization would have their own FAQ type content, and you can just imagine that multiple business units would be using more or less the same type of idea, that using an FAQ. And with KA, these business units would be able to share the same application and share the same content type and have their content coexist on the same system. So over here, you can see a mixture of things. You can see a mixture of things that have to do with finance type things, and things that have to do with let's say printers and things like that. And from a sort of administrator's point of view, as someone who has multiple views, being able to see both types of content, I can actually see both of them in my FAQ content type. However, we're going to now switch over to this person called KA author. And this KA author currently is set up as a support user. That means they have the view of a support console user, which means as they log in and they look at the content, they see the support type content, which in this case is essentially printers and sort of technical things around printers and sort of those documents, right? So we're seeing all the printers, blinking printer offline message. We're seeing, links driver for the printer, printing blank pages. Those kind of FAQs are specifically intended for authors who have that view, that support view. Now, what I'm going to do now is just change the view of KA author into finance. And this will allow the same user to now be able to see finance content as opposed to support content. Now, I don't see any printer content in here. All I see are things that have to do with paying your bill. Why is my bill different each month? Why am I being charged for a service, etc. These are documents that are associated with the finance view. That means a sort of financial area, sort of business unit, may have their own view. It could just as well be HR view. It could just as well be accounting view. And they could be using the same application, as you can see here, the way they and then share that resources with the with, let's say, support folks who are looking at sort of more technical documents and things like that. And all of these can be made public given their own interfaces. They have their own sort of interfaces to be able to kind of serve this up. And the interface question comes into play when we look at the customer portal. Now, the current customer portal here is set for printers. Ignore this part, because the part on the left, the products and categories, as well as the things on the top, there will be sort of minor customizations at this CP, this application level, to manipulate that stuff. But focus on the kinds of content that we see here. And the content that we see here is primarily printer type content, because this interface is currently set for support. Now, I'm going to go in, and being the sort of the administrator here, I'm going to be able to push some buttons, draw the curtain a little bit, let you see how things are done, under the hood. But now I'm going to be able to reset that view, let's say, to finance. In real life application, this would not be the same CP being switched back and forth. A CP, this particular interface would be set for one particular view, and that would be it. You wouldn't be swapping that back and forth. I'm doing the swapping here just to kind of demonstrate how sort of different kind of CPs would be looking at the content from their own views and would be displaying articles that have those views and not the others. In this case, the original setup here was support, and we were able to see sort of support articles in here that have to do with printers and printer support, etc. However, now that I've changed the view of this interface to finance, now I'm seeing finance documents. In real life, these would be two different pages, two different interfaces, and one interface would be designated for finance, the other interface would be designated for product support. Yet another one would be designated for HR, things like that. But each one would be able to provide for the user a specific set of content, which is designed in the back end as existing in the same repository, same content type, but the view attached to it would make it visible to one or the other. And same article would be able to have multiple views, so that, for instance, they would be visible from multiple places. I'm publishing this article now, test article, and it's going to be available for both of these. So in the financial view, we're going to see test here. And when I flip this back to, as well as from the author's point of view, test would not be available. And when I change the interface, let's say, as we're looking for an interface that has another view in here, in this case, support, for instance, and let's change the KA authors role to also support. And you'll see that the same document is going to be again available on both sides. So from the console point of view, we got the printer type support documents back, and test appeared as well, because test has both it has both views assigned to it. And over here we're going to see printer articles plus test, because it has both views, which means the same article can be made available for multiple interfaces, because it would have sort of multiple views. Let's say a support article could be made available for, let's say, service folks, or things along those lines. This will allow you to have some kind of flexibility for any given article to appear in multiple interfaces. But otherwise, the fact that interfaces and views are tightly connected to one another would mean that one particular interface that you've customized in here would be given access to a particular view or the other, and they would be able to see content that is designated only for that. And from the content author point of view, this would mean that you can have authors that are specifically brought in to write content of a certain type, and that would be regulated by the views assigned to the authors.